Alright, so this is part one of a three-part series where we're going to be learning how to train a pick-and-place VLA, so Vision Language Action Model, for a Unitree humanoid robot. So you'll see the Unitree robot up here. And we're going to be doing it entirely using NVIDIA's tools, so Isaac Sim and Isaac Lab Arena. By the end of the series, you'll basically be able to take a model you trained yourself and deploy it onto a really cool Unitree robot, or just have a simulation video to show for it with the train policy. So in this first part, we're actually going to be doing purely foundation and setup. So this is installing and getting Isaac Lab Arena ready from scratch, and connecting the XR headset over CloudXR. And then in the next video, we're going to show CloudXR, launching it on the Quest, as well as how to collect the data for the datasets when teleoperating to train the model. And then training the model will be part 3 and the last part. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the setup. And for this workflow, we're going to be using 3 separate terminal windows. So that's the easiest way to kind of go about it. So let me just pop open 3 of them for us. So 1, 2, and 3. So now the way it's going to work is this first terminal, right, is going to be for our Isaac Lab Arena container, right? So this is where we're actually going to launch the simulation. This is where we're going to run our teleop, and then also the recording scripts for teleoperation. Now, the second terminal is going to be the dedicated terminal for the CloudXR runtime. So the CloudXR runtime is how we're going to be able to teleoperate from our Quest 3S, which is what we're going to be using for teleoperation, to the Isaac Sim kind of environment, and we're going to be doing a pick and place with an Apple. Now, this one just needs to sit there running in the background for the entire session. So once we start it, it's just going to be there. And then finally, the third terminal is going to be the general purpose terminal, right? So things like, setting up Groot, firewall commands, etc., etc. So those are the 3 main terminals you're going to need. So let's start off with that. Now, before we go into it in more detail, just want to kind of iterate the specs I'm running on. So I am running it on my PC. So I'm just going to pull up my specs real quick. So I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. I have an AMD Ryzen 7, a GeForce RTX 5080, and 2 terabytes. And then my operating system is 22.04.5 latest. So these are my specs. While your specs might not align up with mine, just confirm with the NVIDIA Isaac Sim website, as well as Isaac Lab requirements, to see if it meets up, and then if you can follow along. But you for sure need a GeForce or RTX for running Isaac Lab and Isaac Sim. However, we're probably not going to train the VLA on our PC. We might just offload that to NVIDIA's computes on like a on a higher performing like H100. But that's for a later video. Yeah, you also want to check your Isaac Sim version. If you're a different version, you might get some bugs. So I would just recommend updating to the latest one. Let's run that command to check. In our third terminal, we run all our miscellaneous cat Isaac Sim / version. Oh. Okay, so we're going to go to our first terminal, and we are going to run cd Isaac Lab Arena. Let's go /docker/run docker.sh, and then we'll do cat Isaac Sim And you can see I'm on 6.0.0. But yeah, so let's go back. Okay, cool. So let's get started with this. All right, so this is where we're gonna start by first cloning the GitHub to your machine. So I've done GitHub over HTTPS, not SSH. So I'll put the one for SSH on the screen. But since I've done it over HTTPS, this is the command I'm going to be using. We are going to be cloning the Isaac Lab Arena repo. So it is this repo over here. Let me just. This one right here is the one we're going to be cloning. So you have this here. You can also just go here and clone it. Let's put this back. Yeah. So this is the command. I'll drop it down below. You just go git clone branch release. And then you want to go into the folder. So I already had it installed. It took about an hour for me to install. But then after that, you want to go into the Isaac Lab Arena folder, which I am in now. And you should see this content here below. The recursive submodule basically means that anything that the arena depends on externally, including Isaac Lab itself, Isaac Roots, etc., it would be needed to pull at the exact same time as the other main repo. But yeah, okay, so now Isaac Lab Arena, it runs inside a Docker container. And we want our datasets, trained models, and evaluations to also be stored on our host machine, not to disappear. So before we even touch Docker, we want to make sure that we create 3 folders that the container will mount to store these recordings later on. So I'm going to run these 3 commands right here. So we have this one. So we'll create datasets. We'll create models, and we will create evals. Right, and basically what this $home means is that it allows you to just like tell your Linux shell to point to the user's home directory. So you know how like I'm a Mars bar, I'm right here. It just allows you to point your home directory, and that's where it will store the these datasets, models, and evals, right? But yeah, cool. So now that we have those going, let's actually pull up the Docker image that is going to be, pulling up Isaac Sim, PyTorch, blah 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 blah. So yeah, let's run this command. So the container is running. And it's already installed, so everything is good there. So now moving on, we are going to just double check. You can see right here, Isaac Lab Arena. I'm just gonna double check the Isaac Sim version. We are on 6.00 latest, so that is good. And next we want to point a couple of the environment variables, right? To our dataset folder. So we're just going to do that. Alrighty. Now, after that, we have set up our Docker container, so everything's good to go. Everything is installed. Now we're going to configure Isaac GR00T. Now, we're going to do this in our second terminal. And exact same process. We are going to export it. Then we are going to clone the repo. So for reference, it is this repo over here. This is the Isaac root repo. All right. I already have it, again, cloned. So that's why I'm getting that. But it took a while for the installation, so just clone that. After that, we are going to move to that directory. Now you can see we're in Isaac GR00T. We are going to do git checkouts, and and then we're going to go UV sync. Now what the UV sync does is it resolves every Python dependency that Groot might need. As you can see, it resolved and checked that. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. For mine, it was pretty quick. Now, we're going to our third terminal. And this is where we're going to make sure that the firewall is all opened, set up the XR teleoperation, and so we can stream the movements from our quest over to Isaac Sim or Lab Arena, actually I should say. So let's open these ports. So ports 47998 over UDP, which is the one I'm going to do right now, is actually the media stream itself. So this is the video from the controller data flowing back and forth over UDP instead of TCP. Yeah, so it's a lot lower latency compared to TCP. Ports 48322, which is the one we're doing next, is the proxy port. So this is for HTTPS mode. So like when we go in with our Quest browser, right, our headset browser, it needs to connect directly to a local proxy, which will handle the certification and everything, certification handshake between the browser and the Quest and the application, and you need HTTPS for that. And then this is also the same exact ports that we'll be using to visit to the browser in a minute to kind of accept the security certification. So you'll see that in a little bit as well. And then 49100 over TCP is the signaling port. So it's just the initial handshake for the headset to talk to our machine. So this is for our machine to talk to the headsets. This is for our video stream, and then this final one is for the certification over HTTPS. Cool. So now that we've done all of this we are actually going to start the XR cloud inside of the container. So we are going to run this. In our Linux container, so that's terminal 1. Now you can see it is trying to run it, and actually threw an error. So let's figure out why it threw an error. Maybe it's Python 3. It is already running for some reason. So let's actually fix that. So let's kill -9. We'll kill 357 and 380. And then let's go ps aux grep -I CloudXR. And then, okay, that is good. So now let's run it again. Cool. Yeah, so I just had it running in the background already. So I just killed it. And we are good to go. Cool. Now that we have those running, we are now going to move on to the next step, which actually would incorporate running the Docker in the second container. And yeah, okay, cool. So let's do it here. CD Zach lab. Isaac Lab Arena, there we go. And then over here, we're going to run this. So this is going to take a moment to load, and basically what it's doing is it is actually going to spawn the full scene. The robots, the shelf, the apple, the plates, and then once the ISXM window comes up, we can head over to the XR and then grab our IP. So yeah, this is also another Isaac Lab Arena terminal. It's gonna take a minute to boot up. Let it do its thing. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to actually export in the Isaac Lab arena. Again, in the Docker container, we're going to export the dataset directory, lab arena. /docker run docker sh. So now we're running it. We're in that container. Let's just clear this. And now in this terminal, second one, we're actually going to launch the simulation, and we're going to do this by first exporting. Export data set underscore dir equals. So this is when you collect the data from the simulation with your Quest, it has somewhere to save to. Isaac Lab arena / static Apple tutorial. Alright, so we're going to run that. And then from there, we are going to run the Python. We're going to run actually maker -p $dataset underscore dir. Okay, and then from there we're going to run the Python for imitation learning. So it says big script here. And then what you'll see happen is you'll see it do all this, loads the RTX 5080, and then you're going to have Isaac Sim boot up with the environment. For your first time, it might be a lot slower. For me, it was faster because I had it cached because I've launched it before. But you'll see it's rendering.